So if you're in broadcasting, you're hearing about generative AI everywhere, right? It's supposed to write scripts, kickstart your brainstorming, maybe even whip up some audio. But how does it really work? How does it go from a simple prompt to a piece of finished content? Well, I'll tell you this, it's not magic. Today, we're going to pop the hood and see what's actually going on so you can use this thing the smart way. Let's dive in.
All right, just a quick heads up before we get rolling. This is part 2 of a big 20-part series. It's all based on a fantastic report called Generative AI for AM/FM broadcast professionals from Virtualization Options LLC. We're building on what we've already covered, so let's get right to it.
You know the drill. You type a question into one of these AI tools, hit enter, and boom, a fully formed answer just appears. It can seriously feel like you're talking to something that's, well, thinking. But what is actually happening in that little moment between when you ask the question and when you get the answer?
Well, the answer is way more straightforward than you might think. It's not magic at all, it's math. See, the AI isn't thinking in the human sense. It's really just an incredibly sophisticated pattern-matching machine. It's looked at billions of examples of text and has learned the probability of which word is most likely to follow another. You could almost call it a calculator, but for language.
Now, here's a huge misconception. People think generative AI is just a really smart search engine, but nope, they work in completely different ways. A search engine is like a librarian. It goes out onto the internet and finds existing web pages for you. Generative AI doesn't search the live internet at all. It reaches into its own internal library, the data it was trained on, and creates something totally new, one word at a time. So how does it do that? Well, it's not random. There's a pretty clear 4-step process that takes your prompt and turns it into that final output. And honestly, once you get these steps, you're well on your way to really mastering this tool for your own workflow. Let's walk through it. Okay, so it all starts with step 1, the training phase. This happened way before you ever typed a thing. The AI model was fed a gigantic library of text. We're talking books, articles, the whole web, just to learn the patterns of how we talk and write. Then, when you give it your prompt, we hit step 2, input processing. The AI breaks down your request to figure out what you're actually asking for. Step 3 is generation, and this is where the magic seems to happen. The AI predicts the most likely next word, or token, and then the next, stringing them all together. And finally, step 4 is output delivery. That's when the finished text pops up on your screen ready to go.
So that's the mechanics of it. But what does this mean for you as a broadcast professional? How does this all translate into a toolkit you can actually use every day? Let's break down the core things it can do for your workflow.
At its heart, generative AI is a rock star in 3 key areas. First, it's a master at polishing text. It can take your copy, make it tighter, change the tone, fix the grammar, all in a flash. Second, it's a wicked smart analysis tool. It can dig through listener feedback or data and spot trends you might have missed. And third, it's a brilliant organizer. It can take a messy brainstorm and turn it into a clean, logical outline for a show segment or a sales pitch. It's like having a creative co-pilot on demand.
But, and I can't stress this enough, this is the most critical part. It is not a perfect partner. To use AI safely and effectively, you absolutely must understand what it can't do. It's time to get real about the limitations of this tool.
And that brings us to the single biggest risk, a little thing called a hallucination. Remember how the AI just predicts the next most plausible word? Well, sometimes that process leads it to make up stuff that sounds completely believable but is totally wrong. It's not lying to you. It literally does not know the difference between a real fact and something that just sounds like a fact.
For anyone in our business, these limitations are deal breakers. An AI can't fact-check breaking news. It has zero built-in knowledge of your local market or FCC rules. It can't tell you if a host's delivery was off or if a segment's pacing felt wrong. And most importantly, it has no ethics, no editorial judgment. That part is and always will be 100% on you.
Which brings us to the main takeaway here, the single most important idea to hold on to. The point of AI in broadcasting is not to replace the broadcaster. It's to empower the broadcaster. It's about augmenting the skills you already have, not automating you out of a job.
The report we're pulling from puts it perfectly. The key to successful AI use in broadcasting is treating it as a tool that augments human capabilities rather than replacing them. Let it handle the first draft, the research, the repetitive stuff. But you are always the final filter, the editor-in-chief.
You see images like this, right? A robot sitting at the console. It can spark a lot of fear about machines taking over. But that's just not the reality of the opportunity here. The future isn't about getting rid of the person behind the mic.
It's about giving that person super tools to do their job even better and connect with their audience in new ways.
So when it all comes down to it, this isn't about whether AI is a threat. The real conversation is this. You've just been handed an incredibly powerful assistant, but your professional judgment, your ethics, and your unique connection to your community, those are irreplaceable. So the question isn't if you'll use it, but how will you use this tool to elevate your craft?